Just like in the case of human beings, animal orphans too require basic care, such as provision of food, shelter, and in some instances, clothing.
The animal orphanage at the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy in Nanyuki, Laikipia County is offering exactly that to the minor bereft until they are mature enough for release into the wilderness. She was in Nanyuki specifically to visit the disadvantaged young animals, and she came back with the following report: the minor bereft. Our journey to Nanyuki in Laikipia County is advised by reports of escalating numbers of orphaned wild animals in the Mount Kenya forest, mainly caused by poaching. While animal species such as turtles may not need parental care to survive, majority do. Their survival will be threatened in the absence of their parents and without proper care. The animal orphanage at the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy is giving the orphaned, injured, neglected, abused or frightened wild animals a second chance.
So far we have around 28 species here, and in total there are 51 animals here in our care, some of which might, once we are notified that there is an animal, it's a responsibility of Kenya Wildlife Service to give that animal to us.
The orphanage, which was established in 1967, provides shelter, treatment, and professional care with a goal to release these creatures back into the wilderness where they belong.
We've been able to release some of the competent animals back to the wild. Recently, we had an eagle here, which had broken the wing. We managed to treat the wing. She recovered properly. We released in the wild.
Those with permanent disabilities are not allowed to leave the orphanage. Like Catherine, an eland or an African antelope who was rescued after she was unable to cope in the wilderness.
She's lame in one of the hind limbs, so I think that gives her a disadvantage to remain in the wild the other side, because you have to walk for long distances to look for food. So once she has done mating, she feels safe to come back here.
Catherine is happy to have found home at this animal rescue center.
She finds peace here. It's a familiar area where she is. She finds food. We give her food when she comes here. When she goes out, she eats grass, but when she's here, we give her food.
While this is Patricia, she's struggling to walk. She injured one of her feet during a mating fight with a male ostrich.
She stepped into a hole on the ground and she injured her foot, so that her foot healed with that permanent disability. Patricia cannot now properly live in the wild.
Like Catherine, Patricia will remain here permanently.
Staying in a place like this, it improves and improves her quality of life, but also increases the chances of survival.
It's hard to believe that this inquisitive young Thompson's gazelle was once so emaciated that she could barely stand. The precious Thompson's gazelle was saved from starvation by a 7-year-old boy from Rumuruti.
The mother is suspected to have either been predated upon by a predator or poached, so leaving behind a very little baby which was like 1 day old.
The goat and the beautiful gazelle were brought together by fate.
It so happened that also the Maasai boy, his goat had delivered and lost the baby, so he was there also depressed, and as he was grazing, he encounters a gazelle a baby gazelle wandering around with no mother.
The boy, his goat, and the gazelle had established a strong bond, such that even when the officers from the Kenya Wildlife Service, KWS, picked the wild gazelle to rehabilitate it, the three were left devastated.
The boy loved the gazelle and loved the goat, to see that the goat was giving a baby gazelle a second chance. So they stayed together for almost a month until the story reached Kenya Wildlife Service. So Kenya Wildlife Service went and actually picked the goat, the gazelle.
The goat and the gazelle were shortly reunited after each was unable to cope without the other.
The family offered to us to take the goat also if we want, to make sure that the baby gazelle is looked after and does not die.
And now she depends on the goat milk to survive. The story of the goat, the Thompson's gazelle, and the 7-year-old boy was so beyond belief. Therefore, we decided to visit the boy at his parents' home in Rumuruti. He was already at the field taking care of his goat and sheep when we arrived. Sau Lesibia was happy to see the officers from the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy. He knew it was about his goat and baby gazelle.
I saw a baby gazelle under a tree. It was lonely. I decided to rescue her. I felt really bad when it was taken away. I am happy it is safe. We were shocked when we saw Sau with the baby gazelle. After he narrated to us what had transpired, we allowed him to take care of the gazelle.
From their story, it is clear Sau is the reason the baby gazelle is alive today. With more people like this 7-year-old boy who help the conservationists locate the disadvantaged and orphaned animals in the wild and preserve them in special homes such as the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy, then the world will be able to address the challenge of special species extinction. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News in Mutonyi, Laikipia County.